What's up, my people? What's up, my homies? What's up, my friends? As you can see on the title, we're talking about the Southsiders today. And I'm going to talk about my experiences with them. You know, it seems like that's what people like to hear, all the little war dogs. You know, even though I like to want to get my own kind of spiel on things. Excuse the traffic. Well, my first experience that I can remember was in the 8th grade. My brother's a year older than me, so we're so tight, close. Our birthdays a day apart, so we always celebrated them together. Well, as when I was in 8th grade, right, 7th grade, 8th grade, this dude moved from the other side of town to Burton, and I wasn't really known about gang banging and representing or gangs, and I was just like kind of naive because I used to play baseball and um, watch baseball and go skating. Used to skate from the west side to the east side on Main Street, go jump on the Main Street Bridge into the river, and so it's always me and my brother. He's a year older than me, right? So when I was in 8th grade, 7th grade, I think that's when this dude moved over there to behind where I used to live. I lived on West Putnam. Now there's houses there, but it used to be a field, right, on West Putnam, going um, by, I can't even think right now, Applegates, past the driving, where the drive used to be. So I used to wonder why, well, this guy used to come, I think it was in 7th grade. My brother's in 8th grade. But he'd be all creased down already, all gangstered out. Big old Benz, blue, Cortez. I don't know where he came. He came from somewhere in LA, And his name was Louis. Well, this fool, like, he was cool. I didn't really trip on him. Cause we used to all walk to school and walk home, and sometimes he'd be walking the same way I would go, but he'd go a different way. But halfway, he lived right behind my house, so he'd be walking towards where I'm going. Well, then I started seeing these other fools. There was like another homeboys from the west side. What later I found out, because all these guys I was going to school with in 7th and 8th grade. I was already having problems with them, fighting with them. But I wasn't really gangbanging. Or from really like, west side in 7th, 8th grade. Because I didn't really know anything about it, My dad'd be like, hey, it's all for the raza. That's when Kid Frost came out and all that. This is for la raza. Dun, 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 And I was enamored with that, I was like, I used to love that. And my dad used to be like, that these, So anyways, my dad used to always be like, it's all about Viva la Raza, Si Se Puede, Chicano Park. And I don't know if you guys ever seen that Chicano Park, been to San Diego, So I learned that first before gangbanging, So I was always for the raza. So then, as I was in 7th and 8th grade, right, this fool Lewis came in. He'd be all gangsta out. Well, these other little homies, this fool that conspired against my homeboy Nate Dogg, these were his little homies. His name is Paul, right? I guess he got murdered out there a while back in Porterville. They found him by the river or some fire station on the west side. But he drove my homeboy's car after they murdered him. And, I what's it called? So these fools used to always kind of, I just get into it with a bunch of them, and I didn't, so they're always, I guess, really gangbang West Side. But Paul was ready to train these fools. He was ready in high school, I think, but I was in 8th grade. He's about a year older, 2 years older than me. A year or two. So this guy had all these fools ready, and they had a nice little neighborhood, you know. There's probably like 30 of these fools that lived in this area that he was trying to bring up. So as I seen him, these fools I used to really battle because I live by the drive and they live right next to Burton. So I had Martin, right, from Burton, the old Burton, and they'd catch me right there. You know, one time, one of these fools always talk crap, like, fool, whatever. I was walking and fool catch me by my sweater and bing, caught me back in the head, like, but you know, that was one of my L's I took. I took a lot of L's just learning, you know, climbing the ladder, ass whoopings, being on the worst end to being on the winning end, you know, like a UFC fight, I think. But so as time went on, right, this fool Lewis used to walk with us too, and these fools he's had problems with these fools, you know. And I'd be like, hey, what's going on? He's like, I don't know, that, you know. So he didn't really tell me too much because I was kind of like, you know. And well, as I got to know him, I think might have been, well, I used to go to his pad, right? So then, yeah, I was in 8th grade, right? So in 8th grade that happened. So as I went to freshman, my brother was already there, right? And he's ready to get involved, I guess, because he comes to me and says, hey, give me a letter. I want his initials. I did a pattern. I used to do Old English. So I got the pattern. I did the RC on his chest, and he went and got it tattooed. He was like 14 years old. Right there, covered both part of the chest. And my mom was pissed when she found out. But so that was this fool Lewis, right? So he was cool with me, and then, you know, he kept getting into it with these fools, and then my brother started getting involved, and he's like, hey, you need to not talk, or he didn't really tell me nothing yet, you know, because he was still learning the little ropes, I guess. So then, because he was just boulders, you know, and then because that's what most people bang, just represent the town, you know, and they don't pick sides. But so then I think freshman, you know, I go to freshman. So they used to battle this fool. And then we hit freshman year, and this fool used to hang with the Campo Locos, you know? And then they used to have these fools, the West Side Locos. There's a bunch of these clowns used to live on West Side Street by Veterans Park, and they used to call us the West Side Locos. And this was before really I was pushing anything. And then, or representing. So then as time, so this fool Lewis, and, you know, then I was like, oh, this fool's I knew it was, then I started knowing like North and South, you know, by the end of 8th grade. But, so freshman time, yeah, when they started hearing this, so I kind of like, we still walked home together, even from the high school, Monachi, we still walk home. We still live that way. Because we live right behind the house. So I'd be walking home sometimes, and, you know, like, I try to avoid talking to him, saying what's up to him, but I knew him before all this North and South stuff, you know? And then, it just started, people, like, I remember one time, one of the other dudes, we were walking home, because they're like, hey, we're going to walk home with you today. And I'm like, all right. And then they're strolling home, and this fool was like ahead of me, or I don't know how it happened, but I can't really remember. But he was riding one of the bikes, right? And all he had, I remember he took out he started talking crap to this fool Luis, right? It was this fool Joby. It was funny, actually. This fool, like, started talking shit, you know? And Joey was always ready to brawl. And this fool, he started swinging on him. And I think this fool Joey grabbed a seat and hit him upside the head with the metal part of the seat. Or I can't remember, but I just know he just hit this fool in the head. And this fool goes leaking, you know, and all the way home and shit. And I'm like, man, looked at him like, sorry, Lewis, you know, because I knew him, dude, you know, but then I knew all the humble joking and shit, because I used to be a paper boy. And I used to throw newspapers and shit, and, you know, throw newspapers and just, I run into him all the time. He lived on Toma, you know. So anyways, this fool went to bust him inside the head, and after that, like, I try to avoid Louis, because we were cool with each other, and then we were, you know, so like, beginning of being freshman or middle, that's when, like, things started escalating, you know, because these fools, Lewis, Brent, started chilling with these fools from LA, moved down, this fool Cholo, I remember, in a white Monte Carlo, you know, this other fool Trusty, I think his brother, I don't know, but he's picking him up after school. You know, I had when I was in the high school, we were getting into with the Campo Locos, you know, always the talking shit, you know. But I knew a lot of the fools from the camp, but that I got along with, but a lot of them didn't, you know. And at the time so by then I think it was like my brother was, I don't know what he was pushing West Side yet, but it's like fools go in the restroom, like 5-10 fools in there, 10 on 10, to go 1-on-1 in the Menachem restroom, just boom boom with fools from the camp. You know, so I'm like, damn, we're gonna get whooped. Nah, because all them fools wanted some smoke, or everybody proving themselves, you know. But we had a lot of homeboys from Tablas and Poplar, and you know and that's when I was barely, I guess, I don't know, but I used to be around a lot of these fools from the camp all the time. Hey, you know what's up, homie? But a lot of fools, they didn't even. That's why I trip all these fools. You know, we're all raza and shit, but even a lot of these fools in high school, they used to look down on me because I would fucking talk perfect English, you know, like a damn American. Like, what is it, homie? What are you tripping on? They call me Pocho, like, oh, you Pocho. Like, this is, now they got this no sabor shit. It's like, fool, I'm raza, homie. Right here. I'm born and bred right here. I was grown right here. My bad shit. You know? The only person that ever spoke to me in Spanish was my grandma. That's all she knew. Everybody else knew English. You know? So I'm like, but I used to ask me, hey, homie, why you guys mad at us? Mad at me? Why do you trip on fools like me? Or whatever. Like Pochos, right? And he goes, because you guys have papers. You guys were born here. Right? And he said, and then you guys don't know where you come from. Like, what do you mean come from? I come from here, homie. My other family comes from Texas. What's up, you know? I think we're Tejano, shit. Now I'm Chicano. So it's like, but then all these other fools a lot of these fools started linking up, you know? Fools from LA, because they were running from their crack shit over there. And they were coming down here thick, you know? So even in high school, I had woodshop one of these fools named Trusty. And they, like I said, they pick them up and shit, and I didn't disrespect them because I was ready, like, I'll F it. Because I was kind of not like a tag along my brother, but they'd always start some shit with me, but like, oh, we didn't do call your brother? I'd be like, well, maybe I will. But my brother was gangstered out. He had a Mongolian ring, you know, with a red rag. They would tie a little red rag in it. And he was 15 years old. I was freshman, he was a sophomore, you know, so that's why I believe it was kind of destiny to go to jail. You know, it's like, dang, this way, especially the way my brother was going, you know, and so that's why people ask me, why did you got a lot of tats? And I'd be like, I ain't trying to be like my brother. You know, don't get me wrong, I love my brother. We're tight like butt cheeks, but if he go get tat, now I mean, oh, what are you doing? Copying your brother? You know, and so, but anyway, so they would catch me slipping with my brother, the fools, you know, because they would try to, like one time we were strolling right there, Minimar right there by the driving was, and we're walking from my homeboy Nate's down, I think it's River Street, and we're coming this way by the store, right? And we're cruising, we're walking, you know, we're 15 years old, and 14, 15, I was 14, he was 15 probably, and these fools, my brother, like, watch out, I think they're gonna do something, and then they're like, they start speed up the car, you know, and right there by Minimart, by there's the alley, you know what I'm saying? There's an alley right there, and then there's a canal through the back where the car wash was, and these fools, cause I think this fool was like a junior, and they had moved from like somewhere in Lowe's, right? But this fool Trusty, he ended up catching. We got into a wood shop, and I was like, "Yeah, f you disrespect him, you know." And around the table, and he just go, and I just went, took one. I was gonna swing back, but I had just got in trouble mechanic class a fight, so I literally like, should I take this one? But I took it, man. Not that maybe I was scared that day. I can't even remember. But I didn't, you know, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't jump that day. But, you know, that was one of them, that fool Trusty. Maybe because he's from LA. Everybody was scared of fools from LA. Nah. But, you know, that was one of the fools I got into with. And they wanted my brother because my brother was ready all gangstered out. You know, he used to have a, we all, he's ready to throw him 1-4, teaching my little brother. You know? So, yeah, so it was crazy. Like, everybody, I don't know who he was chilling with that was getting him in it, you know? And it's like, so even when we used to, like one time we were in high school, right? My brother, because he got, went to citrus or something. Got suspended. So, because remember, I only went from freshman to sophomore year until I went to jail. So I was freshman. So my brother, like, one of them, freshman, sophomore, he's like, hey, go away from me where all the fools from the camp line up for the bus. He's like, right when I get off, I'm going to take flight on one of these fools. Because they wait right there. They all line up for the bus. And he said, they always stand there mugging him. Because he'd come all, like American Me. Remember when American Me happened? With that movie? Yeah, everybody knows that. Well, back then, I was like 12, about 13 years old, right? And we went to go see that. That's another story, but thank God my uncle took us there. Because we got to see the Christmas tree light, the knife. Me and my brother look at each other like, you know? Even when we went to jail, when they threw us in the thing, taking us to juvenile hall, we look at each other, shackled and handcuffed, like, you remember the Christmas tree? Remember me? How you want to go? You want to say it in cheeks, or you want to, you know? So it's like, now's the time. We got to survive and preserve them butt cheeks, you know? Well, so anyways, that's just like, I'm going to continue more on this, because I could go on and on about this, you know, but dealt with this fool Lewis and all these other fools, Junior had Campo Locos, and the fools that trying to start West Side Locos, you know, like, they phased out. We try to handle them after once you get up in. It's just, we were dealing with the Asians. I don't know why, but I think because they're just gangbanging, wearing blue, you know, so, but a lot of the fools, because they would call us, oh, you live on the weak side, like, yeah, I guess weak side, you know, so I'd be like, I'm from the west side. So after a while, you usually learn, they say, oh, you're from the weak side, I'd be like, nah, I'm from the west side, you know, but I'm going to continue about this, and more battle with the Southsiders, you know, your arch enemies. Nah, but you know, it's a trip to see how all these they're uniting, you know, and that's, I guess you gotta turn the page, you know, because for every a good word died, you know, a lot of people, a lot of bloodshed, so maybe it is, you know, but I got more to come, so stay tuned in part 2. Have a great one. Stay gnarly.